Hello everyone and welcome to another Watercolor Wednesday. I'm Allison with the blog A Glimpse Inside, and today I will be showing you how to create this fun little tree with a little door where maybe like a little animal like a fox or a bunny or a little bird family or something lives. I just received this set of stamps, the tree stamps, yesterday, so I thought this would be a fun tutorial for today. So for the stamps that we'll need in the fairy door set, so the big tree, and then I'm using this little rounded door without the little awning, so this bottom one, but feel free to use whatever. In the original foliage set, this big vine for our leaves and then the tiny grasses. In the flower set 2, I am using this little cute double bunch right here, but feel free to use any sort of flowers that you have. And then also in the original flower set, I'm going to use these little like tube flowers. I'm actually changing from the ones that I used in the painting. I wasn't a huge fan of how they came out, so I'm going to change it up and use those instead. Okay, and then for colors, I am using number 45 sepia, number 46 crimson lake, number 17 steel blue, number 86 African violet, number 43 brilliant yellow, and number 15 olive green. Again, change these up to whatever you have and whatever you would like to use. Okay, so this painting, I created it again on a 5x4, so another kind of odd size. You can easily make this a 4x6, but I had this piece of, excuse me, but I had this piece of scrap paper kind of sitting out, so I thought, let's use it. So, and then we're going to start with the big tree. And so we're just going to ink this up with sepia. So just give this whole thing a quick coat here. Okay. And if you hear my children in the background, I apologize. It's bedtime. Anyways, so this is now all sepia, and then I'm going to do it just a tiny bit below center, just to give more room for our leaves and a little bit less of the grass and stuff. So there is our tree. And then before I do anything else to our tree, we're going to go ahead and add a little door. So when we pull the color out, we don't accidentally pull the color out, you know, where our door would sit. So I'm going to use my positioner for this. You can eyeball it if you don't have a positioner, or, you know, stamp this on like another little piece of paper and try to kind of place it where you want it. But for this, I'm going to ink it up in African violet. And then I'm going to use the positioner, stamp it in the corner, and I'm going to see where I want that. So I'm going to kind of put it where the little stones are in front of the tree. So, and now I'm going to re-ink this up, not in African violet, but over it with sepia. Okay, so put that back where I want it. About right there looks good. I'll put my positioner in place, slide this out of the way, and then place my little door in place. Okay, so now we will drag the color out of the lines. So I left my tree fairly white. You can paint more of it in if you don't want it to be so light colored, but I was okay with just kind of the lighter tone. So that little inset of the door right there is going to be darker, so you feel free to paint that whole thing in. And then just kind of drag the color, you know, right there on top. I'm going to leave it. Drag a little bit of shadow out on this side of the door. My line is bleeding. A little too much water on there. That's okay. We can fix it. So under the branches will be darker. You know, between, or where one branch kind of covers up another one. So just think about how this tree and how light would shine on it. And that will be kind of how you shade it in here. It could be real quick. It doesn't have to take very long. A little bit more water here. So kind of under here, I'm going to drag the color. And then if you want, you can always drag the lines out a little bit here. Let me just kind of blend this a little bit since those colors decided to keep bleeding. And then I am going to just barely touch kind of the rocks right here. And then again, just kind of on the door. Again, if you want, you can always drag some of this, more of this color if you want like a little bit, or just put some sepia on your palette and paint in a little more. Or, you know, you don't have to leave this as white as I am. Okay, so before I continue, and I'm drawing a blank, here we go. We're going to use our leaves, and we're going to go ahead and add our leaves while our tree kind of dries for a minute. So I have this big vine. I'm not going to ink the whole thing up. But I mean, that's even probably too much. I'm going to do probably about half of it, and then just kind of stamp it around. I'm going to stamp, 3 or 4 times before I reapply more ink to it. You can add, make your tree super full. Only add like a little bit of leaves. Maybe it's spring and the leaves are just starting to kind of pop off the tree branches. However you want to do it. I'm going to make my tree pretty big and full here. So I'm just going to keep rotating my stamp. I'm just going to turn my paper. Makes it easier. And just kind of move it all around. This part's pretty forgiving. I'm going to have a little bit come down into that hole. And right there. And just come down this way first. So it's pretty simple. Nothing to stress about. Just keep stamping and inking. I'm going to come down a little bit here into those openings, cover up the tops of those branches. I'm going to kind of swing a little more over here. I'm going to change the direction of my stamp right there. Okay, and I'm going to leave it right there. So easy part, dip your brush in water, pinch it off. And then if you want, you can have quite a bit of water on your brush for this. It will make the leaves a little less noticeable, but it will go by faster. And so I'm just doing a real quick pinch off of my brush, and then just doing a quick dab around. I'm going to spread some of that green, you know, down into the tree. And then I am making sure to leave white spots between my leaves. I'm not painting the whole thing in solid, and I am just dabbing my brush. So I'm not brush stroking them. I'm not putting any color on my brush besides what I am picking up as I'm touching these leaves. Alright, we are almost done. Okay, a little bit right there. Okay. And there we go. So before I do anything else with my door, I'm going to just take the thin side of my sepia, and I'm just going to kind of go down in some of these lines of my tree and darken them now that it's all dry. And then that will be like, you know, where obviously certain parts of the tree will be darker. So maybe that section where those two little lines meet. You know, if you wanted to add a couple more lines. Anytime you do this, the lines just kind of pop a little bit more off the page and gives a little bit more dimension. And since my door here got a little bit washed, I'm going to go ahead and draw that back in. I'm actually even just going to color right inside that door. See if I can adjust the light a little bit here. I'm losing the sun today. Okay. So now I'm going to paint in the door. So for that, I'm just going to do Crimson Lake. Just put a little bit on my palette. And I am going to go ahead and add some sepia and African violet to my palette as well. So I'm going to start with the Crimson Lake. This kind of goes on pinkish. So you can always try to do a base coat of like either a little bit darker red or even just maybe like sepia. So you kind of get away from this pink color. But the more you paint over it, the darker and truer the color turns out to be. There is a pretty other red called English red in the Marby markers. It's kind of more like a burgundy-ish color, but it's really pretty too. So I'm going to take just a little bit of my African violet and just kind of add a little bit, and then some in that spot right there where we colored in. And then kind of the same thing with the sepia. Just going to kind of to give that door a little bit of shadow. We don't have to do a lot. It's a small door. Doesn't need too much to it. And then I'm just going to go a little bit more red on it. So now I'm going to let that door dry. So I'm going to come back down to my stones here. I'm going to take a little bit of my African violet and sepia here and make my little trusty gray color. And just kind of paint in those little door foot stones if you want them darker, just get some straight African violet. And then I'm going to use the same little mixture to give our little doorknob a quick little color. Okay, so I'm going to leave that for now, and we are going to move on to the tiny little grasses. So I'm just going to use the olive green again. Feel free to change up your greens, but since I have it out, I'm just going to use it. And I'm just going to kind of place it right kind of what would be like behind the tree, kind of on both sides. And then I'm going to do it like right in front of that root of the tree and kind of just walk it down. And then same thing on this side, just kind of walk it in front of those roots. And then if you want, you can just kind of add a little bit more here and there. Doesn't have to be a lot, doesn't have to be complicated. All right, dip my brush in water. I'm going to pinch it off and try to kind of get it real thin. And then brush those up and out. I think I took too much water off. Okay. These paintings are so quick and easy, and you can easily change up any of the little elements, you know, to work for you and whatever stamps you do have. So they're just fun little projects to complete. Okay, I'm going to put a little bit of olive green on my palette, and I'm going to take some sepia here, and I'm just going to kind of add like a little path, like leading out from the door. You can do like your mixture. And then I'm going to take some of my olive green here and just kind of brush a little bit more in. You don't have to do this part. We obviously see that we have grass, so if you want, you can always just add a little bit of green around your little path, closer to the door. But however you want to do that. I'm going to get a pretty good dry brush here and get some sepia and then just kind of dab it to kind of get a couple darker spots. Okay, so next I'm going to take these tiny little flowers here and I'm going to double ink them. So first I'm going to do the blooms in the brilliant yellow, and then I'm going to do the stems in my trusty olive green, and I'm just going to kind of put these right back kind of behind the tree. Whoever lives in this little tree house, you know, wanted to beautify their area with some pretty little flowers. I'm going to try to add just a little bit darker over here. And then you can always just make them however many as you want. And then lastly, before I even add water, I'm just going to have this little thing, these little kind of like tube flowers. And I'm going to just do these in African violet. And I'm just going to kind of add these in wherever. Just for a little more color here. You can leave these out if you don't want to, or if you don't want them. Change up the color. Make them something brighter. I was just trying to use whatever markers I had in my palette here. All right, so now, so for the yellow flowers, I'm just gonna like slightly touch those blooms. to kind of bring out that pop of yellow. And then I'm just going to just kind of the same thing, quickly touch those little leaves and stuff. I'm not going to add too much around those. And then the purple ones, I'm just going to dab. I don't really want to lose too much of the shape of these, if at all possible. I have a little bit too much water on my brush right there, but so I may lose the shape of those. You can always drag those out. And then I'm going to kind of add a couple little dots here into the brown, and then I'm going to give a little bit of lines on our door, like their little wood panels. I'm going to kind of give that doorknob and that little lock a little darker. And I did that with sepia, but I'm going to go over it with the red, just to kind of blend those in with the color of the door a little bit. And let's see, I'm going to add a little bit more green back here, I think. And last step, almost done. I'm going to put some steel blue on my palette. And we have to paint in our sky. So I'm just going to kind of go right next to the tree and right above those yellow flowers. I don't want to touch either of them because I don't want those colors to mix. And then same thing on this side. I'm really not going to add a lot of blue here. Kind of a little bit between these branches. And I'm going to call it. There you have it. This would be so cute if maybe you left out some of flowers or grasses over here. And let's just say you have, this could be a little fox den, so you can put like a little sleeping fox over here in the grass, or a bunny. There's so many fun things that you can do with these. So I'm going to sign and date it. And there you have it. This was a fun one to play with. Again, this was a brand new set that I just got. I got a couple new ones. So hopefully in the next coming weeks, I'll be able to come up with some new watercolor videos with these new stamps that I have. So stay tuned for that. And if you create any of these, I would love for you to share them with me. So you can tag me on social media, or even just email me a photo of it. And I thank you for joining me, and I hope you have an awesome rest of your week. Bye.